Jaden Show, and here's your host, Jaden Cornelious. Welcome to the Jaden Show. Welcome to your Sunday. I'm Jaden Cornelius, your host, and you are in for a fantabulous show today. I'm going to be going all the way to Texas to meet country star Aaron LaCombe and his dog Potter, who is super handsome. You're going to really enjoy this show. I think before we go and chat to this man, let's listen to a bit of this guy in action. He's got a beautiful voice. He's a great singer, songwriter, musician. This song is called Dream Along With Me. This is Aaron LaCombe. Enjoy.
She closes her eyes. She sees a house along the Guadalupe River, with two chairs in the grass out by the fire. And when I close my eyes, I'm sitting right there with her. Family gathered around at supper time, at a table long enough to feed an army. Sundays with the grandkids to ourselves. We ain't ever gonna give them back now, are we? Our dreams may be far-fetched, but farther down the road than we'd like them to be. What good is a dream that's right in front of us to see? Says, honey, I know better than to think that anything in this whole world's a guarantee. I just need for you to dream along with me. There's been days lately things we want grew farther in the distance. In fact, it seems like most of the last year that anything we tried met up with some resistance. Work is only getting harder. We might only have the strength to say goodnight. I'll be at that house along the river, by your side in my sleep till morning light. Our dreams may be far-fetched, or farther down the road than we'd like them to be. What good is a dream that's right in front of us to see? Says, honey, I know better than to think that anything in this whole world's a guarantee. I just need for you to dream along with me. And every bump along the road, wherever we may go, we'll make the getting there the sweeter in the end. And if all our hopes and all our plans slip like water through our hands, we'll pick it up and put the whole thing back together again. Our dreams may be far-fetched, or farther down the road than we'd like them to be. But what good is a dream that's right in front of us to see? She says, honey, I know better than to think that anything in this whole world's a guarantee. I just need for you to dream along with me. just need for you to dream along with me.
Well, you've heard him, and so I now know you are desperate to meet him. Let's go and meet this week's very special guest, the amazing Aaron LaCombe. Aaron LaCombe, welcome to the Jaden Show.
Well, thanks for having me.
I hear it's very hot where you are at the moment, and you might even be beating Mexico.
Yeah, it's up in the low 100s right now, and there's rain floating around Texas right now, but it has yet to get to us.
Well, are you in Austin, Texas? Is that right?
I am just outside of Austin in Kerrville, but I have a show in Austin tonight. I go there quite a bit.
Wow, cool. Is that where you were born and bred?
No, I was born in Detroit.
Okay.
First 25 years of my life. Yeah.
Wow. So why the move to Texas?
Well, I was kind of just sputtering through college, and a buddy of mine moved out to New Mexico. I went out and saw him, and I loved the way of life down. You know, it's a little slower pace. People are a little nicer. So I just never left. And after getting into the restaurant business for a while, I decided to get real serious about music 15 years ago or something, and moved to Austin.
Wow, man. So how did you start playing guitar and listening to Tammy Wynette and Dolly Parton at like 2 years old? Or was it like a gradual kind of evolving of your musical tastes? How did the whole country... Before we go there, the thing that attracted me about most of your Twitter was I write the songs that make people feel uncomfortable. And I was like, I like this. But I want to know more about it. How did it all start? Why do you want to make people uncomfortable?
Well, so when I just had my parents were just into good music. Like my mom was into Beatles and Billy Joel, and my dad was into James Taylor and Jim Croce and all those guys. Pretty much no country music to speak of in Detroit. Okay. So by the time I was in high school, I was in a heavy metal band. Yeah. I had hair down to my belt. I was singing, Ozzy and Motley Crue and all that stuff.
Wow.
And then when I started writing music, it occurred to me real quickly that country music was the best place to tell a story within a song. A lot of rock and metal is just about how badass you are, or how, trying to get girls, or, I don't know.
Or how loud you can scream.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And in country, at least in the kind of old school country, you get a chance to tell a story, to create a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was definitely gradual.
So, but when did you start? I mean, because it is quite a big difference to go from kind of heavy metal to kind of in country. What? I mean, because my brother was into heavy metal and kind of heavy rock. I was into Olivia Newton-John and ABBA. So for my brother, I was blasphemous. I couldn't understand how I was even allowed to have like a stereo system in my bedroom. So it's quite a significant difference. How did you kind of go from, actually, I'm really loving this kind of rock, and now I'm kind of singing my D-O-V-I-R-C. Like, it's quite a big change, man.
Yeah, for sure. So the band that I was in kind of broke up after high school. There was some drugs involved. There was some other stuff, although a couple of the guys have gone on to be really successful. One works in a NASCAR pit crew, and the other is touring with a band called Walls of Jericho, and they play like massive I've seen them play for like 70,000 people in Germany.
Wow, okay.
But on the other side of that, there were some issues. But the band broke up, and I just kind of like started listening to more mellow music. And this guy who worked with me at a Little Caesars back in Detroit, I think his name was Ray, but we all called him Cowboy because he was the only person we'd ever seen in boots and a hat. Okay. And he slipped me like a Garth Brooks CD once and was like, "Hey man, check this out. You're not going to like it all, but there's some stuff you're going to dig." And I did. And it took a long time before I would call myself a country artist. I mean, I thought I was still writing rock and roll, but after, 5 or 6 years of just writing these stories and leaning toward the acoustic guitar and those kind of sounds, a buddy of mine told me, he's like, "Man, I don't know what you think you're doing, but you're writing country songs." And, that's just kind of how it happens.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to kind of follow your inner voice, right? I mean, I was pop R&B singer, had 1.5 hour lesson, and my teacher said, "Oh, you should be singing like opera and classical." I'm like, I don't even like that. And then all of a sudden, like 15 years later, I'm an classical crossover singing, thinking, it just got me anyway. I just think if it's part of it, you can't really avoid it. So when you're kicking back at home, and I forgot your dog's name. Remind me of your dog's name again.
Potter. Yeah, sorry, he's been a little ornery today.
Sorry, Paul, we're boring you dudes. It's like, come on, when's my interview, man? But so when you're kicking back at home with Potter, you're just chilling out, what would be your go-to music? Would you go back to metal, or would you?
No. Although I do every once in a while, just for nostalgia's sake. But honestly, it could be anything from like Motown to hardcore gangster rap to Lyle Lovett to. I mean, the music section in my iPhone would be a scary place for most people.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yep. I've got on one of my Spotify playlists. Because I'm nearly 50 years old, so not only have I've got 50 years of music in my playlist, but then I've got the songs my mum and dad listened to, the songs my grandmother listened to. So I've got like from pre-Second World War and some artists back then all the way up to Dua Lipa and, like different artists. Yeah. So it's like a random mix.
I don't understand how anybody has because if you're in all kinds of different moods, I don't understand how one kind of music can suit that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, it's got to be, it's got to be quite eclectic, I think. Well, that's my thing. So why do you write the music that make people mildly uncomfortable?
That quote came from a song called Uncle Carl, which I believe you are familiar with.
We're going to play that at the end of the show because that's one of my faves. I love it.
So without giving it away, it's about a holiday dinner in which a family member comes out with some news that not everybody is prepared to hear.
Okay.
And keep in mind, I live right in the middle of Texas in a very conservative area. And when I wrote this song, I wrote it for a Christmas songwriting contest.
Yeah.
And I played it and I came in absolutely last place.
Really?
Yeah. But a bunch of people came up to me afterwards and told me how much they loved it. A couple people were crying. And then when it came around to making the video and kind of once the song got out there, I still get messages. This time of year, I'll get a couple messages a month from people who say how much they love it or how much it means to them. But around Christmas, I'm getting, 15 messages a day from people who are
amazing.
And it's just, it's been a real pleasure to play that all around and just see who it makes squirm a little bit, just pay attention to the audience when I play it and see who's having trouble absorbing it.
That little bit off the edge. Yeah, I think it's amazing. Right. Is that the only song, though, that you've written that's kind of made people feel mildly uncomfortable?
No, but it's in Texas. It's probably the head of the pack. Sure, I tend to run right at things that a lot of people won't talk about. There's a song on my new record about a friend of mine that passed away. My friends and family say that I speak more frankly about things than most people are willing to, and I think that's why some of my songs have that effect.
That's an amazing gift, to be honest. There's far too much bullshit going around anyway.
I agree.
Fantastic, the people that just kind of say it how it is, right? At least you know where you stand with them.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair. Yeah. So, I mean, you're super, super, super busy. Like you said, you've got a gig coming up tonight in Austin.
Yeah.
And are you pretty chocked up with shows and stuff at the moment? Or are you taking a bit of time out, or what's the situ?
This summer has been nuts. I probably played, I'm going to say 50-something shows just since May.
Sweet.
So I've got Austin tonight. I'm opening for Garth Brooks' daughter on Saturday on the other side of Austin. Pretty much every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and some Sundays is booked. But then as it gets into November, things kind of slow down around here a bit, and I can focus on writing or recording if I'm ready and all that stuff.
Right. Okay. So you've got your seasons of writing and your seasons of showing, right? It must be a little bit surreal that first Garth Brooks CD that was kind of slipped into your hand saying, listen to this, and now you're supporting his daughter.
I hadn't even put that together until just now.
Really?
So, yeah, maybe I'll mention that to her. Yeah, I hadn't even really thought about that.
That's pretty man. What to date? What has been one of the highlights of your career?
I am now able to tour. I'll go out on the road for 3 weeks at a time sometimes, and I have a Sprinter van that I get around in, and I get to, I take my dog with me, I take my mountain bike, I have a great time. But man, some of those shows, and it's usually in some place like Colorado or something, where I'll just have a show where just 100 people are just really paying attention and really absorbing all of the lyrics in my songs. I may not be the strongest singer in the world, but I think if you listen to what I'm trying to say, I think there's some stuff in there that a lot of people can relate to. And boy, when that happens live, there was a show in Colorado, Friends of Folk Festival. It was a month and a half ago now. It's just, there was maybe 1,000 people there, and just everybody was listening. Those real polite audiences are just, there's nothing beats that.
Wow, man. I guess that's kind of quite different to the audience that you get in bars and clubs, right? Where the louder you sing, the louder they talk. The louder you sing, the louder they talk. And I'm getting to the point where I can just about phase those kind of things out. Yes, man.
My rule next year is I'm only playing the places where all the chairs face the stage.
Sweet.
I don't want to be the background music to people getting drunk.
I had a feel like that. I just think you might as well I'd rather be at home watching Netflix. Just put my CD on.
Right. Exactly.
It's
like, and those gigs. Sometimes you connect with a few people at those bar gigs, and they can be all right, but it's just a lot of work. And after 15 years of doing this, I'm finally getting to the point where I don't have to do too many of those kinds of gigs.
No, nice, man. So what does the future hold for you? What are your plans for like the immediate future and long term?
The problem with trying to sort out my future is that I'm not having a bad time right now. So it's hard for me to say I'm going to like claw my way to this thing or whatever. But by a couple years from now, I'd like to just be, focus on writing and playing live shows and traveling around, and hopefully get some other people to record a song or two of mine to where they can make it real popular, and I can just go to the mailbox every now and then and
the check.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
Good bloody
Which
idea.
is not to say that I don't want to play live. It would just be nice to stack it up more than like, $300 at a time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What season do you prefer the most? Do you like being on stage, kind of center of attention, everyone watching you doing your thing, or are you more of a studio boy, recreating the music? What do you prefer?
I way more, I don't enjoy recording at all. I'll be perfectly honest. I really, really like, some of my favorite times in my life have taken place on a stage, but nothing really profound or magical happens in a studio. It's a lot of work for me,
Right.
The idea of you're putting it out there and it has to be perfect and you're going to have to hear it 100,000 times or whatever for the rest of your life. That's a lot of pressure.
Wow, man. But you've dealt with it really well because you've just released an album called Breaking Ground. How's that going for you so far?
It's been great. The few singles that are out so far have done really good. That Dream Along With Me got put onto a couple of those Spotify curated playlists, and so it's connected with thousands of people that wouldn't have otherwise heard it. So.
Wow, super sweet, man. And we've just seen Dream Along With Me as well. It's kind of really, it's one of my favourites of yours as well. What's the story behind that song?
I wrote it during the pandemic, and I was just sort of feeling lucky about having my girlfriend who was, we could, even though everything was kind of like going wrong in the world, she and I could, kind of adjust what our next move was. And, maybe things weren't going to happen quite as fast as we wanted or quite the same way, but we were able to make it work. And the song is just an ode to how fortunate I am to have that in my life.
Wow, amazing, man. Yeah, completely different if you're going through the whole COVID thing on your own, right, without a teammate.
Certainly.
Yeah, crazy, man.
And, live music just dried up completely overnight.
It just showed the fragility of our industry and us as artists as well. Like, that's the reason why I created the Jaden show, because I was like, fuck, what do I do? How do I entertain? And I'm not even, I live in the jungle, so I'm isolated, which I'm very lucky. I've got 20 animals. and my garden's really, a nice size. I didn't feel claustrophobic being isolated, but I was like, oh my God, I'm not talking to anyone and I'm not doing anything entertaining. So I have to meet entertainers and talk to entertainers, therefore the Jaden show.
I understand.
But I know a lot of people that were starting to capsize under I just don't know what to do anymore. Like, I've got no outlet for creativity. So did you find it beneficial in the sense that you had time to kind of sit down and focus on what you want to do, on writing, or was it just, we're going to get through this day by day and see what happens?
I did write a lot, and that was good. I took time to write when I wouldn't have otherwise been writing. I put out 2 albums during the pandemic. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it a little bit. There were parts of it that were real cool. I got to where I would collaborate with other musicians online, which I hadn't really done before. People were reaching out, calling, doing Zoom chats and stuff like that hadn't happened before. There was one of my favorite parts about it was the governor of Texas, about a week into the pandemic, just said, okay, now you can have to-go alcohol just anywhere. So we would go every Friday, we'd go through the drive-thru at this Mexican restaurant and get these giant margaritas and a bunch of food and just go home and just get good and drunk and talk to each other and eat this Mexican food.
Nice, man.
A lot of fun.
I was kind of doing that, but in Mexico, so it actually wasn't.
Yes, it's no big deal to you guys.
That was amazing. No, it bloody was, actually. I'll tell you, I couldn't imagine having to have gone through that stuck in a little apartment in London.
Oh man, I can imagine. I had just a few years earlier moved down from Austin, and I was living in an Airstream trailer up there, and it would have been maddening.
Yeah, crazy, man. Well, I'm so chuffed for you. I'm really, really loving your work. Are you only doing shows in kind of the Texas area at the moment, or are you going further afield? Are you going international? I mean, what is happening?
All over the United States. I had shows in Detroit and in Illinois last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, I guess it is. I've got stuff in Florida and Alabama, all over. I actually had some stuff booked in the UK right before the pandemic hit, and obviously had to cancel it. I am a big fan of the UK. So one of these days I'm gonna, when we can be assured that air travel and everything is gonna go pretty smoothly, I'm gonna book that up. And,
get back to old Blighty. Nice, man. Exactly. Yeah, you should do. I've not been back for 3 years, so I'm gonna try and get back next year. It'll be nice to go and visit my home. It'll be bloody lovely. Yep. It's funny, I was never particularly patriotic when I lived in England. And I thought that if you were a fan of Downton Abbey, sorry Downton Abbey fans, but I don't feel like this now, but I was like, you're a complete wuss, man. It's like just for old ladies. And then I moved to Mexico, and after like being away from home for 2 years, I was like, I really love Downton Abbey. And I really love England. I just said, now I need to go back. I need to kind of just soak in a bit of the UK-ness before I come back to the jungles in Mexico. Where can people find you on social media, dude?
Everything like Instagram and Facebook is all Aaron LaCombe music. If you just go to aaronlacombe.com, it'll branch out to all the music streaming services, all the social media, all that stuff.
Fantastic, man. Well, I'm super chuffed you came on my show. Thank you so much. I think maybe I have been known to do a little bit of country in my time, so maybe we should do a long distance collaboration at some point.
I would love that. That'd be great.
Super cool to do that with you. And when like you do your next album, when something big comes up, let us know and we'll do another interview and share your news. That'll be wonderful.
Great, man. I sure appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure, dude. Thank you so much. I'm loving your music. I'm loving what you're doing. So, keep doing what you're doing because it's helping a lot of people and it's touching a lot of people. So cheers, dude.
Thanks, Jaden. I appreciate it.
Take care, you. Have a wonderful rest of your week, I guess, or next week. And we'll catch up again soon.
Sounds great.
See you later, dude.
See ya.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Super amazing to meet Aaron and loving his music, and I wish him the utmost success with everything that he does. He's a great songwriter, a great singer, and a really, really lovely guy. And I've got to say that Potter, the Great Dane, is very similar to my Merlin, the Great Dane, and great that he was on my show too. Absolutely handsome boy. Now, as we said in the show, we're not going to leave you with no more music. We are going to be listening to the song that makes people feel mildly uncomfortable, I'd like to know how you feel after this song. So please put your comments underneath this video here on YouTube. I want to say thank you for watching this show. Thank you for being part of it. Please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell button. Please check me out on all my other social media platforms as well and come and say hi. I'm leaving you this Sunday with the amazing Aaron LaCombe, and this is the song that I fell in love with. It's called Uncle Carl. I'll see you next week on The Jaden Show. Take care.
Hey, Aaron, how are you? How's your rehearsal going? Going good.
The table set for half of Texas on a Christmas afternoon. There'd never been so many cousins in that tiny dining room. All us kids were down on one end, making jokes while Dad said grace. We said amen, and Uncle Carl stood up with a strange look on his face. I was just about to try the beans Aunt Cindy brought from home when Carl spilled some beans of his own. Uncle Carl came out on Christmas in front of God and all us kids had known for decades, and Dad had no clue at all. Carl's best friend who'd come to Christmas the last 4 years in a row, he said, I think it's time we let you good folks know. Now raised voices were not uncommon at family dinners such as these. Global warming or Obama, Muslim refugees. But no one so much as whispered. We just sat and ate and chewed till Dad got up and took his beer to the TV room. Mom and Grandma got up next and cleared the plates without a sound. And us remaining, we said we love y'all both, and Dad'll come around. And one by one we filled the TV room, spilling out into the hall. The Cowboys lost, of course, which didn't help at all. Uncle Carl came out on Christmas in front of God and all us kids had known for decades, and Dad had no clue at all. Carl's best friend who'd come to Christmas the last 4 years in a row, he said to Carl, I think we'd better go. Carl had gone to get the coats from the bedroom in the back, and Mom packed up some turkey and some tin foil in a sack. I was pretty nervous as Dad was shifting in his seat, and we all drew a quick breath when he got up into his feet. And then that man who'd never hugged a soul, at least that I had ever seen, he threw his arms around his brother, a Christmas miracle indeed. And those three talked another hour out in the cul-de-sac. Carl, my dad, and my new Uncle Jack. Uncle Carl came out on Christmas in front of God and all us kids had known for decades. this.